This is Millie's Magic Triangles.
Okay, I'm going to try to teach you a method of putting your equations into magic triangles that are going to help you be able to manipulate equations to get the maximum marks in your mathematical aspects of your physics exam. And I've called it Millie's Magic Triangles. Now you might use magic triangles, but I'm just going to get over that and just basically consolidate and back up what you might already know. So what we're going to do is we're going to create two magic triangles from two different equations that you might encounter. So the first equation might be A equals B times by C. So that might be a very simple equation. So it might be sort of like, say, work done equals force times distance, but you need to manipulate that equation to make something else the subject. So to put this into a magic triangle, if your equation looks like this, A equals B times C, you would draw your triangle, and you can see that this larger section, B times C, you will put that on the bottom. And you're left with A, which you put on the top. So, the equations that you can get from this triangle would be A equals B times by C. What if you were asked to calculate C? Well, let's circle that and cover that up. So you're asked to calculate C. So C equals A, which is at the top here. This line means divided by B. So to calculate C, it would be A divided by B. What if you're asked to calculate B? We'll cover that up. B would equal A divided by C. So that's straightforward. So that's how you will put this type of equation into a magic triangle so that you can manipulate your equation. Let's try another one. You may encounter, I'm going to rub this off, you may encounter an equation that looks like this. Let's say A equals B divided by C. So this might be how an equation is represented. A equals B divided by C. And you might want to put that into a magic triangle because you might be asked to calculate C or B. So to do that, here's your triangle. This line is the divide line, and as you can see, you've got your divide line here. So whatever's above the divide line goes into the top of the triangle. So you will put B here, and then you would have A and C would be at the bottom. So if you now wanted to work out what equations you could use from this, well, if you wanted to calculate A, so A is B divided by C. That's what we have here. What if you wanted to calculate B? Well, B would equal A times by C. A times by C. And if you wanted to finally calculate C, C would equal B, and there's my divide line, divided by A. So that's how you use magic triangles, and I really would suggest that whenever you sit down to do a calculation, that when you're posed with the question and you've given the equation, put it into a magic triangle first, and I'm sure you'll find that a lot easier to get maximum marks and not get into a kerfuffle with your equations. Okay, let's put these magic triangles to the test. Say, for example, you're posed a question and it's asking you to calculate the velocity of a moving object. And you know the kinetic energy and you know the mass of the object. You need to isolate V. So the first thing you need to do is put it into the magic triangle. Now, as you can see, this section here, you've got these numbers or these variables that are times together. So let's put the triangle here. And like I said, there's your divide line. So this section here, you put on the bottom. So it's going to be half mass times by V squared, and kinetic energy will go on the top. So you need to be isolating your V squared. So V squared will equal, what are you left with? The kinetic energy here. That line means divide, so divided by half mass. So you've got V squared on this side, and you've got your KE divided by half mass on this side. So to calculate V, what you need to do is you need to square root both sides. So if you square rooted this side, you'll be left with V, and you need to square root this side. So you're going to have V equals KE divided by half mass and the square root. So you pop in your numbers from your question into here, and when you've got your answer to this, you just square root it, and that will give you the final answer, which is what V would be. It's quite straightforward, just follow it step by step.
What's in the fridge? What's in the fridge?
Let's have a look what is in the fridge. I wonder what Millie might like. What's this? Cheese, ham and pasty. What about Dairy Dunker? Millie, do you want a Dairy Dunker? I think she might like this.